All right. So, everybody, welcome to a career series from Return to Win. Today we have Usha Govindraju with us, and she is currently working as a um, business analyst and a QA tester. And like she is actually my cousin, full disclosure here, but I've seen her for the past like 20 years or so. She's had a pretty interesting career trajectory, and trying out new things, discovering things. And I mean, right now she's at least she told me that she's at a good place, and she has discovered her passion and love for being a project manager. And I thought it's just an interesting path of self discovery. And by listening, and if when she is sharing her journey, we can skip few steps and see if whatever that is will work for us or not. So yeah, welcome Osha here. And so yeah, can you like give a little bit of about yourself? What's your um, current position? What was your previous background? How has your career been?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Usha Govindaraju. I'm currently a business analyst as well as a QA tester for a company called Percentrix. Um, and I've been doing this for the past 5 years now. And originally, I actually started off as a computer software developer. That was background was for getting my bachelor's in computer technology, and then I also got my master's at university in computer. And I did that for computer software development. I did that for the first 5 years of, and then I eventually
Usha, you're breaking up.
for computer science. For computer software development, I did that for the first 3 to 4 years of my career, and then I started moving on to becoming a QA tester as well as a current position.
Right. So, like you were in a computer programming earlier, and that's where your education was. And how did you decide on this role? And how did you move into this kind of a role? Because from what I can see, there isn't like a particular, like once you get your master's, you're done with your kind of education, right? There isn't like an education path towards this thing. So, what interested you in this, and how did you get here?
So while I was a computer software developer in my first position that I got, I realized that my passion and my interests did not align with being a software developer. And during that time, one of my friends who was a QA tester for the same project also ended up becoming my mentor. And she, along with my supervisor, noticed that I started developing a little bit more interest and started asking a little bit more questions in terms of QA testing. So after speaking with my supervisor as well as the QA tester on the team, we decided to start branching out into automation testing. My supervisor developed stories within our sprints to uh, look into selenium at the time. And we started researching different paths for our product that we were working to create automation test script. After working on it for 3 months or so, my mentor actually recommended me look to start looking and branching out for interviews for new and upcoming jobs in this field.
Right. So so that is really interesting. So it was through personal networking that you were able to explore a slightly different field, um, adjacent to your role. And it was also good that your company was able to allow that to happen and also give you opportunities to develop those skills. So, what are the skills that you think you have developed for these roles, both being a business analyst, testing, how do you acquire them?
So a lot of these skills were soft skills, right? Learning to communicate, learning to network, and a lot of it were on the job learning, right? To get the practical skills necessary to develop start understanding the different QA methodologies or becoming a business analyst. And in order to also get a little bit more better understanding on methodology, software testing methodology, I should say, I started doing learning, looking into YouTube videos. There were great YouTube videos that I use for Selenium testing, as well as Udemy courses, just to get an understanding of just the different types of methodologies there are, understanding automation testing, understanding hybrid testing versus manual, and when to use those, right? And then similar courses that I took for business analyst, shadowing my business analyst at one of my previous positions, and being able to help write stories, help gather requirements, work with clients, doing the demos, thing with clients, and just getting that communication skills up to up to speed.
Mhm. Right. So based on your experiences and like how you got into these roles, uh, any advice for someone who is exploring, like, is this the right fit for me? How do I get more exposed to it? How do I learn about things? How do I demonstrate my skills?
Right. So for me, it was a lot of networking, right? And then negotiating with supervisors. If you have that capability within your project, and if you're able to take the initiative, right, to see where you can help out, right? If you have that camaraderie with your QA tester and or business analyst, as well as your supervisor, because you also need to negotiate, right, with them to make sure that you're able to help out where you can. Um, to see, to basically start testing and start um, creating those stories and everything. That's how I got into all, right, when you're first starting out. And then also with that, networking yourselves outside of your project, being in the company as a whole, right? To see if they have any, R&D projects that they're working on, or BD projects that they're working on, where you can kind of give your input on software testing or business requirements gathering. And
Right. So that is a feasibility if you're already working, right? Um, and typically, I would imagine this would be more of a possibility in some medium-sized companies.
right,
Large companies, generally, they tend to have more rigid structure. And it's like you have to go through a formal process of actually transferring again. So at least I would think that this is more of it is advantageous to be in a medium sized company or like a smaller company, not too small a company maybe, where they're not doing some of these things formally, but what if I'm not working right now? What if I'm looking at it from outside? Either I don't have the flexibility at work or I'm not currently working. What can some avenues be?
yep. So some avenues could be there. There are tons of agile meetups that you can join where you can start. One is start networking. The key focus is to start networking, right? To get in the door for any company. So with these agile meetups, if you can start networking there, and it doesn't have to be a large meetup or anything small enough where you can see that they have a need for quality assurance tests or business analysts, have you. And then create a demo of, like, if you're looking into automation testing, for instance, you can create a small demo using any type of free open source tool, right? Something similar to Selenium or Catalan, for instance, and create an automation test and demo this to those uh, people within the meetup. That's one avenue, and a couple of others are getting certification courses. Um, for me, from my perspective, my companies were able to pay for my certification courses, but if you're looking in terms of getting certified, look into agile testing certifications or automation testing certifications. I also ended up getting my 508 compliance testing certification as well. So these things were asked about during interviews, um, just to have it in their backup.
Right. And we will add some of these sources like the Udemy courses, YouTube channels, which were helpful, the certifications, which are probably of value. We'll add those in the show notes. We'll share those in the show notes. And how about like preparing for interviews?
In terms of preparing for interviews, what I did was I Googled interview questions that interviewers may ask interviewees for specific roles, right? For QA testers and or business analysts. And 9 times out of 10, those questions were very similar to what I was asked during my interviews. And also with these with interviews, I also took it as like a game and or a test to see, okay, if I didn't answer a specific question correctly, is there a way for me to um, change up my answer so that way in my next interview that I can answer the way in which they are looking for, right? They have keywords that they're looking for in these interviews. So with that, if I can change up my answer to include these keywords for any type of testing or, business analysts questions, then 9 times out of 10 you'll end up getting a call back.
Right. I would imagine the same approach can be even used for meetups. You build up a demo project, uh, and when you present it, you can like look at the questions you are getting or the discussions it has generated, and use that as a stepping stone to improve your own presentation skills, and also soft skills like speaking, and also use it as a thing for your interview prep. So the meetups also need to be kind of active, not really passive. So going selecting good meetups and attending them regularly is also a very good practice for with respect to interviewing. So I mean, so you are right now in project management. So is being a business analyst like a prerequisite to project management, or is it a completely different path? How do you navigate that?
It it all intersects, right? Being a project manager, you need to know a little bit of everything, right? You need to understand what a business analyst does, what their descriptions are. You also need to understand what a QA tester does, right? And understand what their job descriptions are. And if you have experience in a little bit of everything within a software development team, it makes you that much better at being a project manager as well, because you understand the ins and outs of uh, the software cycle from cradle to grave, right? And so how to build uh, the project timeline, for instance, milestones, setting schedules for everyone, right? And then how understanding the requirements that need to be gathered, right? Working with the business analyst to be able to talk to the clients to gather these requirements, so on and so forth, right? So it all intersects, basically.
Right. Um, right. So what I'm hearing is like the intersection for all of this is project management. You'll need to have a broad knowledge of lot of specific implementation specifics. Uh, that way, you're able to think through the problems. You're able to um, talk to other people in an intelligent way. How important is it, not just the technical aspects of like testing, BA, and the development and all, but how important is the domain knowledge for project management? Like if you're doing a project management of a healthcare software product, do you need to, how much do you need to know about software? How much do you need to know about healthcare, or like say finance product? So how do you manage that balance?
Right. So, as a project manager, you need to know the ins and outs of your product. Anything, because at the end of the day, you're selling a product, right, to your clients. And if they have any type of question in terms of capabilities, you have to let them know, hey, yeah, you can do this within our product, or we can build something for you that would take X amount of time to get it done. So you, besides knowing the technical aspect of your product, you also need to know uh like the product itself. So for using the example of healthcare, right? You need to understand the healthcare system, how nurses and doctors and pharmacists all operate within, say, for instance, a hospital, right? How what the process is for that, as well as the technical knowledge of whatever tool you're using to build out their product for them. So, yep.
I'd like to add to Usha's point that, it's great to understand your industry. It's an absolute must. Also, it's great to understand the milestones and the contributions of each team, but you don't necessarily need to understand the back end of how that team is going to deliver that thing to you. It's good to have an idea of how their contributions make your product and your project complete, but don't feel that you have to understand 100% of every team's work. As long as you know how every moving piece meshes into the complete product, that's what you need to know.
Yes, the big picture, basically.
Right. So that's an important skill. Like what I feel working with my own project managers and everything, they need to be very detail oriented, like they are crossing their T's and dotting their I's. Um, Still, they are not very much worried about the nitty-gritty of the implementation, right? Uh, like it's a very important skill to develop. You need to have an overall picture that nobody can BS you. Sorry about that, but still you need to be able to understand, like, oh hey, these are all the important pieces, we definitely need them. Hey, these are the things we do not need, we can postpone them, or we need not do them. So in all of these, the thing I'm hearing is, for QA positions or business analyst or being a project manager, one needs to be detail oriented, have a have a plan, and be able to have the soft skills, develop the soft skills to be talking to multiple people and keeping multiple parties with competing requirements happy. So anything else you want to add, Usha, before we take questions?
I think you pretty much nailed it. In terms of takeaways, it's the soft skills, right? Getting your foot out the door in terms of networking, being detail oriented, just making sure that you are on your P's and Q's with clients as well as your development team as a business analyst, to make sure that you're delivering the best product available or possible to your client.
Right. Um,
Absolutely. I'd like to add a few points that, like you guys said, attention to detail is an absolute must in every job, especially project management, because there are so many moving parts. And like I said, you may not exactly understand exactly how those moving parts work at the back end. So it's absolutely important for attention to detail. So these are, when you're interviewing for project management roles in your behavioral rounds, this having some examples of your attention to detail will really help. Another example to have would be on communication and building relationships, because, like Usha said, you will be communicating cross functionally, you'll be communicating to different levels of the management. Many of those people are going to be above you in rank. So you need to know how to negotiate, how to get your job done, and how to build those relationships with your key stakeholders so that you can get work done even when not everybody is fully on the board. So you have to get them onto the board and have them agree on the way forward. The third skill to have examples for is influencing without authority. Project managers are responsible for the success of the project, but they often lead teams where members don't directly report to them, right? So it's important to, again, relationship building and communication is where it comes in. It's important to get work done from people when they're not necessarily reporting to you. And the last skill that would really help to have examples for is decision making. Project managers need to know when to escalate. You need to escalate in time and not escalate too often, right? So there's a fine balance that you strike up. You need to know when to escalate so that you're meeting those milestones and the other teams are getting enough time to, if in case there are any deliverables that are dependent on each other, you're giving other teams enough time to have their iterations out.
Uh, one thing I would add there is we did have a detailed session on mentoring and how to find a mentor earlier. So you can find that on our YouTube channel. And also, yeah, getting work done without authority is a great skill. And I am guessing that Usha has something to add.
Oh no, I agree
No,
with
I just saw
everything.
you get off mute. I thought you had something to add.
Nope.
And the other thing is also this also ties in, like especially if one is not working and one is not in a corporate situation, the best way to demonstrate these kinds of attributes, being detail oriented, having getting work done without authority, organizing things, breaking down projects, is by volunteering. And we did have a session earlier on volunteering also, and how to use that to just improve oneself and also demonstrate that you have these skills. So please check out our previous sessions on mentoring and volunteering. Uh, Anything else you would like to add, Usha?
I think you guys got everything that I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Takeaways.
Yeah. Usha, I do have one parting question for you.
Sure.
The two roles that you often see pretty commonly are project manager and technical project manager, right? So they're slightly different. One is more on the software side, the other one is more of a generalist role.
Right.
What roles do you recommend are easier to get into if you're a person who's new to the field, either because they are returning from a career break or they're coming in from a different field?
In between technical project manager as well as the project manager
Yes.
itself.
Yeah, because in
Um,
case they have to start fresh and learning the skills.
right. So from my perspective, it just depends on what their background is, right? So if you're more of a technical person, then you would benefit more being the technical project manager, right? Because you understand the development aspects as well as the software aspects of what the team will be building. But if you want to be just a general project manager, it, just understanding the general idea of the ins and outs of the entire project itself, that would be your goal. So it really depends on the person's background, from what I'm understanding.
Okay, and do you feel that getting a PMP gets you a farther way during the interviews and in your job?
It definitely doesn't hurt.
Okay.
As for me, I do not have a PMP, nor have I really thought about getting my PMP. In terms of where I'm currently happy with doing business analyst work as well as QA work, but a lot of positions are looking at people who have PMPs because it does when they need to bring these employees on for different projects, it keeps the client keep have ease of mind basically when they realize, oh, the project manager has a PMP and they know how to run a project and
Okay, so it's more of a prerequisite to get your foot through the door.
yeah.
So these are all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much. This was so detailed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Usha, again for the session. This was really helpful. I learned a lot, even though like speak to you quite often. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
see you all.
See you. Bye.